Hey, this is Derica Fomasili, and welcome to the Happiness Recipe Summit, where top experts are revealing their secret ingredients so you can create your own recipe for happiness. And today's vital ingredients to your happiness is all about law of attraction. We're going to break down, you guys, what is law of attraction and how do we use this beautiful law to attract our desires. That is so important to our happiness because if we're not attracting the things we want, we're just not happy, right? We are just not happy. This is my favorite topic in the world. I think it's one of the most vital ingredients. So I'm very excited and honored to have our star expert today that's going to break down everything we just said. She's going to paint that beautiful picture of law of attraction and how we can use it. So please help me welcome Victoria Gallagher. Hello, hello. Thank you for being here.
Hello.
And I want to make sure that I said your last name right because I chop it up sometimes. Is that good?
You absolutely did. Yes. Thank you so much. Thanks for checking. I always have to do that too. And sometimes when I interview people, it's like, oh, whoops, I needed to check that out first.
I know. I had a feeling I've seen your name a lot. I've seen your work a lot, but I was like, I might have been saying it wrong, but I'm so glad. I'm so
It was
glad.
perfect.
Good, good, good. I'm going to go right into your lovely bio so we can get to know you a little bit more. Victoria is a certified master hypnotist and law of attraction facilitator. Specializing in career and business success, she helps entrepreneurs, business professionals, and personal growth seekers to overcome fear, doubt, worry, and negativity and develop a success oriented mindset of confidence, self belief, abundance, and positivity so you can attract what you want in your personal and professional life. That is so beautiful, but I'm not done. Victoria is known as a law of attraction expert and has dedicated her life to empowering people all over the world to successfully live a life of liberty that is aligned with their dreams through her huge library of self hypnosis recordings, online coaching courses, and live seminars and workshops. Again, thank you and welcome, Victoria.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me to speak on your happiness mission
Yeah.
to help people to become happier in their lives. It's really an honor to be here, and I love your presentation of me. I love the way that you get into that. Changing your state, changing your vibration, and that's a lot of what this is all about.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you so much for that compliment. It takes us all, you guys. As you know, I've been going through the summit. We've been having a lot of vital ingredients, but without this one, and we really just wouldn't have that soup. So I'm so glad that we are jumping in this to the person who is known. She is known for this, and she has been doing this for how long now?
Oh my goodness. Well, professionally,
Yeah.
I've been doing it for about 22 years, but really actually all my life I've been, and I mean, in all fairness, we've all been using law of attraction to one degree or another in one way or another our whole lives, just unknowingly, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's what we're going to break down here today because I like
Some of you may not know that yet, but hopefully that's my little plan.
that.
By the end, you'll realize that you have been using it, and now we can just use it to turn things a little bit more around into your favor if it hasn't been that way.
Yes, that's what we're all seeking for right here now. Changing that, those happiness thieves, those things we're attracting in our lives that we are just not wanting. We just don't want to. And like, how do we turn that off and how do we turn on the goodness? But before we jump into that, I want to know a little bit more about you and how your story, who you are, and how you became a hypnotist and law of attraction facilitator.
Okay, it's my pleasure. Well, when I was a little girl, and I start this story off so many different points in my life. And so today I'm going to start from when I was a little girl. I was, like about first grade, and I wanted to be a singer for one. That was one of the things that I always wanted to do. And so when I saw in the first grade, I saw the sixth graders putting on the Wizard of Oz, and I was in first grade. I'm like, I am going to play Dorothy in the Wizard of Oz in the sixth grade. And mind you, there were probably, I don't know, a good 60 or 70 kids that I had to contend with to potentially get that role. And so, of course, I auditioned for that role, and I got the part. And that was really my first experience that I can really call from, that is when I really, really kind of felt like, you know what? I can create, I can do whatever I want to do. And but then of course you learn things, and then you forget things, and then you learn them again. And I think as I went through my life, I put all of that stardom stuff aside, and I got a serious job as a stockbroker, and I was really proud of doing that. And it was something that, again, I I decided that that's what I was going to do, and I got that job. But it at one point kind of became really unfulfilling. And as a matter of fact, like everything that I had created had become unfulfilling. I got married, I had a great house, I had a great car, I had a six-figure income. I mean, I had everything going for me at a pretty early age that anybody would want. Like all the things that you dream of, that you hope for, that you go for, I already had all those things figured out, and I was only 28. And it kind of left me in a place where I felt really unfulfilled and really unsatisfied, because I think so many people would go through life, we think that as soon as we get as soon as I'm going to be happy, I'm going to be happy. And so had to take a step back, and I signed up for a personal development seminar,
Mm.
which was really against everything that I was about at that time. I mean, it wasn't that I wasn't into personal development, but I just kind of thought, oh, I don't want anybody messing around in my brain. I want to keep control of my own mind. I don't want anybody, I don't want any new ideas. But I nevertheless went into this personal development seminar, and everything really changed, and the lights turned on, and I became, I guess, enlightened. I don't, that's too big of a word, really, but I realized that there was just so much more to life, and I realized that I had a gift that was so much more beyond helping people with their finances, and I wanted to share my gift with the world, and that was, really to help people to achieve their dreams, but achieve their dreams, through being who they really wanted to be first.
Yeah. Mm.
And it was in this personal development course that I decided I was going to create this humongous library that you had mentioned of hypnosis programs. And the hypnosis programs slowly evolved into law of attraction oriented hypnosis programs. And The Secret came out, and then a lot of people started really breaking down about, like, oh, The Secret doesn't work, it's a bunch of malarkey and things like that. And it really kind of breaks my heart when I hear people talk that way about it, because in a way they're really kind of talking that way about themselves, because all of the power, it's not something like outside of you, it's all inside of you. And so to say and to try to disenfranchise this whole law of attraction, it's really disenfranchising yourself and your own personal power.
Mm. That's well.
And that's why I wrote a book about it a couple of years ago called Practical Law of Attraction, to really help people to understand that, you don't need these magical mystical powers. It's not outside of you. It is just about you getting in alignment with what it is that you really want to attract in your life. And so that's a little bit about how I ultimately
Yeah.
evolved into being, who I am, where I am, and how I got involved in law of attraction and hypnosis.
Wow. I love it how you took us all the way back to childhood. Being that's when you first, that's one of your earliest memories, or you had one of those aha moments where I create my life. Like I
Hmm.
can actually will things into this reality, right?
Yes, exactly.
Ah, I love
And
that.
we all can. We
Yeah.
all can.
Mm,
Sometimes, we just have to rearrange things, how we're thinking about things in our mind, and that takes a little bit of practice.
yeah. Okay. Yeah, absolutely. So if we move on into what is exactly, like if you could break it down to us, just what is the law of attraction?
Yeah, it's a very good question, and there's so many different definitions, and I have my own definition. And law of attraction is ultimately as simple as you get what you focus on most of the time. You get what you focus on most of the time. And when I say most of the time, what I mean is most of the time you get what you focus on, but you also get what you want. I mean, you also get what you are focusing most of your attention on.
Mm,
And so it's really simple. So if you say, well, let me just go ahead and focus on a brand new Mercedes Benz. A lot of times, people will get disappointed because they will say, well, I focused on that for about, 30 minutes and it didn't show up, or even 30 days and it didn't show up. And, but the thing is that you may spend part of your time focusing on what it is that you want, but unbeknownst to you consciously, you're spending the vast majority of your time um, focusing on negative things. Focusing on things like, oh, there's this virus out there that everybody's talking about.
mhm.
Oh, there's this election out there that some people are not very happy about. Oh, there is, and we're our energy is getting sucked into thinking about things that we don't want most of the time. And so it can't really contend with those negative energies. And so it really comes down to law of attraction is you get what you focus on most of the time. It's an echo chamber. It is simply mirroring back to you that not necessarily that which you want, but that which you are.
Oh, we're gonna dive into that too.
Yeah.
That's a really good one. So all right, it's what we focus on. So sort of like what we are thinking about, our thoughts turn to things, kind of a thing. We've all really heard of that. I think a lot of us know that we're energy, and as we think, our thoughts emit a frequency, and there's this like magical magnet that attracts those frequencies back. I've heard people say that. So it's like, is this like a universal force we all have that we just can't turn off? Is it just happening all the time?
It is happening all the time. And to be really honest with you, when we talk about the universal force and the magnet, that's a very, very minor part of it. I really believe that when it comes to law of attraction, that it's all of the power is really within. It you could use law of attraction in your life and not have to believe that there is anything to do with any outside universal powers or anything that go beyond your own physical body or your own mind, because it really is all it is really all within you. And so yeah, I kind of, that's one of the things that separates my version of law of attraction and my writing about law of attraction and the way I teach law of attraction is it I put it into a little bit more practical, understandable way because when you get into the woo-woo stuff, that's where a lot of the I'm not really sure if that's true. I don't know if I can really get behind that. And I don't really expect people to necessarily believe in magical thinking. Do I believe that a little bit of magic is at play? Yes. But I think the magic comes in, you bring 90% of it, and the magic comes in at the final 10%. Like, whoa, how did that happen kind of stuff, because you're the one that has brought the belief, the commitment, the desire, the determination, the motivation, all of those aspects of yourself to the table. And you're not expecting something outside of you to do all the work. You do, you do the work, but the work is upstairs. It's mental, it's emotional, it's physical, it's your whole being. You have to bring your whole being to the table here.
I love that because a lot of us, and even for me in the beginning, I used to think, you know, these forces or this law or whatever's working outside of here, it doesn't work for me. Like I remember thinking, like if we put our power out, that it's this other entity or this other energetic work or force field, it really strips us of our doing, of our control in creating our reality. So I love how you're bringing it practical, how you're bringing it all back, that the power, it really is all right here. So if we're thinking of the law of attraction, we are it.
Hmm.
We are attracting. We are the law that is attracting the our reality in front of us.
Yeah.
That's really empowering. I love it.
Yeah.
I can
And,
feel
yeah, and the science to it is really kind of, contained within our own brain in the way that our brains work. I'm not sure if you're familiar with like the reticular activating system, but we have the reticular activating system, which is the way that we filter all of the billions and billions of bits of data that are thrown at us. I mean, just imagine that you had your, email box just getting full of like millions of emails, and you don't know which email to open, and so you have this amazing spam filter that only shows you the emails that you want to see. And that's kind of what happens in the brain is you're basically telling the reticular activating system, this is what I'm interested in, so only show me this. How does it know what you're interested in? It's not like you said, hey, I'm interested in this, only show me this, because we don't know how to do that. It knows what you're interested in based on what you believe, based on what you focus on. And so, whatever you're focused on, it's just going to continue to validate whatever it is that you believe and continue to bring you more of the same. And so it's actually your brain is really the big chunk of this that's doing the work.
Yep, your brain, not a brain outside of there, right? It's our brain that's doing this. Victoria, would you say that with all that in mind, let's say if we just heard that for the first time, are you saying that we create everything, every experience, like literally our reality? Are we the controllers, the captains of that? The good and bad and ugly, like everything.
Yeah, yeah. So there is a couple of schools of thought on that. And I do believe to a very large degree we create practically everything in our world. Did we create the experiences of, I mean, like the really horrible things that I don't even really want to mention on here? Things that are completely outside of your control. Um, Probably not. Probably not. Okay. But let's say that something really bad happened to you when you were a child, and how you choose to frame that and how you choose to live through that and how you choose to go through life, that is your that is your creation. So you can have one really horrible event happen. So your house could burn down to the ground. You didn't create that. Okay? You didn't create that your house burnt down to the ground. I mean, unless you're the one that burned your house down to the ground, and lit a match and or you're careless with smoking, okay, or whatever it is. But outside of that, I mean, if there's a fire that gobbles up, your entire neighborhood and your house was burnt down to the ground, all right, there are ways that people can deal with that are going to impact the rest of your life. And how you choose to deal with that is ultimately how you're going to continue to go through life. If you're the type of person that's just going to dwell that, oh my God, my house burnt down, and it's one thing after another, and all these bad things, they continue to happen, and I guess life is just over for me, and I guess everything that I worked hard for, and you just continue to put out negative energy, negative thoughts over and over again. I mean, yeah, are you going to be upset that this happened? Yes, you're going to be upset that it happened. But if you're, still thinking about this 10 years from now and feeling like, you're a victim, okay, then you're going to continue to create more and more things that are going to line up with that process. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's crystal clear. I can see uh, just we always get kind of scared when we first hear that we're
Mm-hmm.
creators and that we can't turn this thing off and we're attracting it all. And then I remember the first time I heard it and I had a negative thought right afterward. I was like, like I freaked out. I got goosebumps. I'm like, oh my God, stop, 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 And we're trying to
Yeah.
like scream at her, so like, don't do that. So it kind of freaks us out in the beginning. But if
Yes.
you just cleared it up, like not everything is by our personal design, that there is what I'm hearing is that there's greater forces, there's things that will happen that just have to happen in our life for whatever reason. Hopefully we focus on it being a beautiful thing why things happen in our life, a growing thing that happens, but some things aren't necessarily like our doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a
Exactly.
percentage, right? Okay. But most of the
Absolutely.
time we are. But there's,
Yeah.
what do you say, like 5 or 10% or something? What would you say that's like not by our doing?
Yeah, I'd say 99% of our life is 100 is within our control. 99% of our life is within our control. And it really comes down to, I mean, taking the obstacles and turning those into opportunities. And that's really the difference between what makes somebody a failure and what makes somebody a success, is how they look at the obstacles and the bad things that happened in their life. I mean, hey, just to well, now it was in July. What month are we doing this? It's November. So, I mean, just 4 or 5 months ago, we were told during the middle of this pandemic that we had to move out of our house.
Mhm.
And, we could have taken that in so many different ways, but we chose to seize the opportunity and say, you know what, look, interest rates are low. We've always wanted to buy a house. I was waiting to the moment I could buy $1 million house, but okay. You know what? I feel like I live in $1 million house right now. And it's, and so I made a dream come true when it could have been a really, really sucky thing to have to try to figure this out in the middle of, pandemic. And we didn't feel like we were ready. It didn't feel like I was manifesting that, but you know what? I had been manifesting that all along because I've been dreaming of my dream home for the past couple of years, going to bed, looking at beautiful homes, and you know what? The house may not actually have sold for $1 million, but it's like the house that I had in my mind when I was looking at $1 million homes. Do you know what I'm saying? So it didn't
Yeah.
have to be $1 million house.
No,
And
no.
so sometimes that's part of it is sometimes things don't look like they're manifesting for you. Sometimes things look way worse before they get better. And sometimes they don't happen exactly how you think it was going, to happen. I
No.
think the things that we want are within our control. I think how they're going to come about is a little outside of our control.
You know what this makes me think about, like the how, right? So we it never, because we don't know the how, right? We know what we're wanting. We just don't know how, because there's endless, unlimited ways of things and how they can fall into our lives and how we attract them. And sometimes they look bad, right? For example, I remember when I got into a car accident, and it looked at that moment terrible. And I was trying to figure out, how was I thinking about a car accident? Was I like freaking out about something awful? And I wasn't. I was about to get married. I was in the most happiest state of my life, and then bam, this car accident, car totaled. I'm in the hospital. I got all this physical therapy, all this stuff, and it wasn't until I think 2 or 3 months later where I realized this was the how, because I was going to go to Europe, and I had all this whole big honeymoon planned. I wanted this new car. I wanted all this stuff, and I needed the time off. And it was just so much where if I did not have that, and it wasn't a bad, like I just, no bones are broken. The other person was just fine. But that car was not the car I wanted. I ended up getting tons of money, tons of money for this because I needed a new car, and funding it, like it helped part of my trip, and so much happened, and I got the time off. And it wasn't until then I realized, wow, okay, so there's things that are going to happen. We could be vibrating good thoughts, and still curveballs will come in, but later on we will see the why,
Absolutely.
right?
Oh,
So that's huge, of like what you're hitting, what you're talking about right here, is that 99% we're creating it all, but there's going to be in ways in which it comes in, and experiences we have to fit these manifestations in, and that's outside of our power. Like that's that 1% right there, right?
exactly,
Mhm.
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, we just have to let go of that how. Because the other thing too is if we get caught up on how, then when things aren't lined up exactly how we think it's supposed to happen or according to our timeline, which the universe doesn't have a timeline. I mean, it's important to set goals and have a timeline because otherwise it's just like you don't even get started on it. So you need to have a timeline just to motivate you, but you also have to be able to, it's a balance. You have to be able to detach from that timeline and trust that, if things are not lining up exactly by that timeline, there's a reason for that. And so you still just have to trust. And I'm trying to think of the person who said it. Jim Rohn says, how long do you continue to work toward your goal? Until. Until. I mean, if there's a timeline that you're going to stop working on it, then that's definitely not for you. That's not something that, this is, whatever you want, it needs to have a value and a meaning and a purpose.
Mhm.
And without those, you're just not going to have the glue to stick to it.
Right, right, because we got to focus on this thing, right? So we've got to focus on it, and believe in it. We've got to feel good about it, because if I heard you right in the beginning, it's like we will think about it a little bit, but then the majority of the time we're thinking about the lack of it. We're thinking about all the other bad stuff, right?
How come I don't have it yet? Where is it? Why hasn't it shown up? This isn't ever going to happen. I'm not sure if I really believe in this stuff.
Yeah,
You know, all of
I've
those
done it.
things.
Yeah, we've all done it. And then I imagine like what I tell my little, I have four little ones, and I tell them things like, okay, when you really want this new bike or whatever, it's coming, right? And the moment that we say, oh, the bike's not coming or something, we're like, oh, I'll never get the bike. I give them a visual that the bike kind of stops and
Hmm.
it's route to you. It's just waiting there until you start believing it again. Then it starts chugging along. Then it stops. So that's kind of how I picture like every time we start doubting, or focusing on the lack of these things or just the negative.
Yeah. Another way you can also visual, I mean, this is a great visual, is just imagine that you have planted the seed of a plant to grow. And so, every day you go out there for the first 7 days, you're out there watering that plant and talking to the plant and saying, come on, or it's not even there yet, but you know that underneath there's been some seeds that they have been planted. You know that. You planted those seeds. And, but then, a couple weeks into this, maybe going out every other day, you're not talking to it as much. You're like, come on, when are you gonna show some sprouts already, And then 30 days into this, it's like, ah, forget it. And meanwhile, you've had a little plant starting to grow, and then it just, you don't talk to it anymore, you don't water it anymore, and it dies. It dies. And that's what happens, unfortunately, to most people's dreams and goals and desires, is they're like, well, I guess, I tried. I really tried. And and then it doesn't happen soon enough, or they're not getting the signs that they wanted, and they just stop and they say, I tried that. Well, if it was really that important to you, you'd either have it or you'd still continue to be striving toward it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But we get these programs, it's almost like we create a habit almost. Would you say? I know as a hypnotherapist, you're going to relate to this. Like
Mm-hmm.
we start something, we want it, we do vision boards, we cut it out, we do all this stuff, we think about it, and then, you know, that the days go by, we stop thinking about it, and then we stop believing in it, and that becomes a habit. It's like we keep starting to believe and then give it up and start, and that's now our new paradigm. Like that's now what we're manifesting is like just that cycle, right? Just that pattern.
Absolutely. Yeah, and it's a cycle within our own mind that continues to get stronger and stronger the more you stay in that cycle and stay in that habit. And that's one of the reasons, no one ever said, and here's the thing. No one ever said that this work is easy. You know, it and I mean there it's not physically hard, okay? It's mental. It's the mental work. And if your mind is scattered and it's going all over the place and it's going in directions toward things that you don't want to create in your life, and you can't get a hold of your mind, just like a dog out on a leash. If you can't get that dog to walk a straight line, you're never going to get anywhere with that dog. And it's the same thing with your mind. If you cannot train your mind to to focus and keep you on the path and keep yourself determined and disciplined, and motivated, and all the things that it's going to require in order for everything to line up for you. If you cannot do that, then you're gonna just be manifesting by default.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, it's just as you're talking, I've got all these ideas. Like we, that state that you're talking about is so unfun. It just steals our happiness because we want all these things. We're very creative, and it feels like we kind of just get in that slum, right? That pattern of just like not getting it, feel bad, trying again, not getting it, feeling bad. But we're going to talk about today of like that's okay. We're gonna go forward,
Yep.
and Victoria's gonna break it down for us on how to go from there onto turning it around. It's like a light switch. We're gonna instantly turn around and begin attracting the good things. I think it's going to. What would you say? Well, let's move in that to the how in just a little bit. I want to
Yeah.
hear some stories. I want to hear some stories, some testimonials where someone was just not happy with their lives and where they were, and then guided by you into the life that they have, that they dream of.
Yeah. Well, thank you for asking about that. As I think about this a lot because people come to me from all different shapes and sizes, dimensions, and different products. Through my apps, through my seminars, through my books, and through my hypnosis programs. And so, I have a couple of stories of some people that came to me through my hypnosis programs, and but used the law of attraction in these hypnosis programs to really turn their lives around. And one of them, she emails me all the time to update me on her life. And I mean, she actually she started coming to me almost 10 years ago, and so her life is amazing. But she started off coming to me because she wanted to lose weight. That was her actual reason why she came. But I mean, she's manifested so many amazing things since then. She was 100 pounds overweight, and she sent me pictures of the before and the after. So after she started listening to my programs, she started riding her bike, and it was one of the things that she lost touch with for a long, long time. And so it was just something that gave her so much joy to get out and just get on her bike every day. And so she emails me and she shares this with me. I'm just going to want to read this message. She says, I lost. This was one of the first ones. I lost 91 pounds. I met a great guy over a year now. We bought a new home, a new car, 300% increase in business, graduated from college, and won lots of Vegas and lottery wins. So I guess we're doing good.
Woo!
So that was awesome. And then about a year later, I got another email from her, and she says, by the way, I went to Vegas and won $5,000, and I'm looking to expand my library, my Hip Talk library. Today, I'm off to take a class for motorcycle license, as if I ever thought that was possible. So I can ride with my amazing man, as if I ever thought that was possible. I'm 112 pounds lighter since doing this work. She said, does it work overnight? No, but if you work it, it sure works. Thank you so much. And then this one was really cool from an author. She became an author, and she says, I cannot express how much these hypnosis have changed my life for the better. When I first joined, I was unemployed, seeking a job, struggling financially, and she listened to attract employment. And that's one of the first, like law of attraction oriented programs I put together. So she listened to attract employment. She says, today I have a great job that I love to wake up to in the morning. Happy husband, children, new house, great school district, and I even wrote a book published by Page Publishing. And the book is called Career Kickstart, 28-Day Action Plan to Finding Your Dream Job. So she went from needing to find a job, unemployed, to like actually teaching people how to do that. And so she mentioned me in her book, and it was such an honor. I didn't even know that, and I've been mentioned actually in several people's books now. And so yeah, so the list goes on and on. I mean, I have over 4,000 reviews on my website, and my book has over 400 reviews, and most of them all positive. Most of them, use the word life changing in their story. And so I'd love to get even more details from people, but this is life changing. It's life changing work, and I love it.
Mm. I love these stories. I love hearing these successes, and really for you, Victoria, like you're the vessel, right? You're the voice and wisdom behind these hypnosis and this the mentoring, the law of attraction coaching, but you're really facilitating, right? Their own powers. Like you're just guiding them a little bit, and it's this is what we all have inside of us to really go from that point A to Z on where we're wanting to go just by these tips, which I want you to get into. I want helping the person that like right now this sounds so good. Maybe they're
Yeah.
revved up. They're like, yes, like yeah, I know it. I've attracted a lot of good and bad and da da da. Like this rings true, but this they're still kind of
Yeah.
on the fence. Like I don't really know. What speak to that person right now? What would you tell them?
Well, first of all, life can be hard. It can really give you a kick in the butt, and it can, you can find yourself in a place of disillusionment and unhappy. And so, the first thing you really want to do is you just really want to stop and just ask yourself some questions like, what if I did have the power to change my life? What if I did maybe create some of the things? Like go back and ask yourself if perhaps you could change that story. Would is there any part of you that would have done certain things different in your life? Not that you are a bad person, you have regret, but could your path be different if you had made different choices? Because it really does come down to a series of choices that we make. So that's one of the first things, is just to ask yourself, you don't even have to believe in the law of attraction. You just really need to believe in yourself, that you have the power. You have the power. And I mean, if you just allowed yourself to believe that, does that make sense to you? Does it make sense to you that if you started to shift your thinking to, maybe I'm just curious what would happen in the next 30 days if I said that I'm completely in charge here. I'm responsible from this point forward for everything that happens in my life. Could that newfound awareness change, things for the better? Can you believe that maybe, perhaps, because I'm talking to right now maybe the person who's just completely lost all faith, all hope that anything is even possible. But there's a couple of different ways that you can think. You can think it's all over. I'm just doomed to failure. I'm just doomed to bad luck. I don't have any control over this. And if you continue down that path, you continue thinking in those ways, how is life going to look a year from now, 5 years from now? Okay. So broaden your perspective. It may not, sometimes the day to day, you're not necessarily going to see the results, but taking time each and every day to honor yourself and tell yourself that you do have some control. And if you start to reprogram your mind and say, listen, listen, mind,
Yeah.
listen, mind, we're gonna get this life in order here. And I have faith in myself. I have faith in my dreams. I have faith in my desires. My desires are there, with the operation manual, in order for me to open that up. And opening that up is just really listening to your intuition and allowing yourself to believe and have faith and get your whole thinking, emotions, vibration, actions, beliefs all in alignment so that you can move forward. So you just want to ask yourself, would thinking about what you want versus what you don't want all the time, would that have an impact? What kind of an impact would that have on your life? And you have to you just have to do it. You just have to trust, because what other choice do you have?
Right. Right. It's either that way or the other, right? We've tried all this stuff. We've tried this way. So I love this. It's like, kind of like going in, having that talk with yourself, as you're saying, like just ask yourself, could I what if I were to change these thoughts, and can I do it? And be curious about it a little bit. Give it a try, right? Just
Hmm.
start there.
Yeah, and I don't try to, force this information onto anybody, but I just invite you to, you can't, these words came to me and it was sort of on a different topic, but, you can't hear if you don't listen. You cannot hear if you don't listen. So you got to maybe choose to listen to your heart, listen to what you want, listen to the things, and just getting curious. Well, could this work for me? Just could this work for me? Could I make this a habit? And um, you're gonna need to make it a habit like for a long time, okay? But again, it's like the habits ultimately are designed to make you feel better, like life is worth living, that you can, be happy. You're gonna be happy every moment of your life? No, no one is. And
Mm.
you know, you wouldn't know you were happy if you were happy
Yeah.
100% of the time. So the only way that you know that you're happy is you're gonna have some bad days, you
Mhm.
know, and you're gonna learn from those mistakes, those bad days, and you're gonna learn from your mistakes.
Yeah. Okay, I'm loving this. Something that just came through was that one thing I remember being so overwhelmed by when coming across this information was that, I knew a lot about the mind. I knew that we had over 70,000 thoughts per day. I
Hmm.
remember that was like, oh, like just freaked me out because there was no way I could monitor all of them or I was even conscious of majority of them.
Right.
Can you speak to that person that's like, oh man, I'm toasted then because, you know,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. So some steps that you can take right now to, yeah, you're not going to hear all 70,000. Most of them are happening on autopilot. Most of them are happening underneath the conscious awareness. Most of them are happening on repeat. The same thoughts you had yesterday and the day before, and pretty much since you were five, you're having the same thoughts over and over. Those 70 thoughts, that 1,000 thoughts they're not newly generated. So what it really begins with though is having a willingness and have a spirit of self-awareness, because that's the only way you're really going to be able to tune in to notice what it is that you're saying. Notice when you're feeling bad and when you're feeling anxious and when you're feeling that not okay feeling. Notice what is it, what were you thinking about that is making you, that's generating that feeling. So start to really develop a spirit and a curiosity of the how you are thinking. And when you notice, and you will notice, and you're never going to not do this, okay? When you notice yourself complaining or saying something negative, all right, you got to ask yourself, is this what I want to be creating right now? Because whatever you're thinking about, all right, you're manifesting that. That is manifesting, because your thoughts are going to continue to attract more of the same thoughts. That's really in so many words where so much of the law of attraction is that your thoughts are going to have babies, and the babies are
Love that.
I literally just made that up on the spot, but it's true. The thoughts are having, they're creating more thoughts that are of the same nature. And so each of those thoughts are just going to continue to multiply. You're going to continue, and so you can do that with your positive thoughts or your negative thoughts. So when you notice yourself starting to complain, all you have to do is just ask yourself, okay, is this really what I want? No. What do I prefer to have happen instead? What would I prefer instead? Now you don't even have to believe that that is possible for you right now. You just have to say it. What would I prefer to happen? Oh, there's no good men left out in the world, right? There's no good man. I'm never going to meet the man of my dreams. And, okay. So, what is it that, well, could you believe, are you willing to maybe set that aside for a minute and say, I am willing to believe that there are quality men in the world. That's a true statement. I saying that I am willing, if you are willing, if that's true that I am willing to believe that there are quality men available in the world. Okay? And it's kind of common sense. If you think like what are we up to 8 billion people
Yeah.
now? Okay. So like there's 8 billion people. There's two or three quality men. Can you believe that? I mean, like break it down into the most simple fact that you can tell yourself. And what you're doing is you're presenting an idea, a factual idea that is not going to get rejected by the subconscious mind or by your critical factor. It's going to be accepted. And you're going to be thinking about those two or three, which is probably actually a million, but let's, um, two or three quality men that are available in the world, okay? And now you've just told your mind something that is more positive and more beneficial. And so it just begins with this little self awareness, noticing the thoughts. The thoughts are coming from your limiting beliefs. You're putting those limiting beliefs on trial, and saying, that may not hold up. That's not going to hold up anymore. And because it's not true, and start to train yourself to gravitate toward thoughts which are true, that are more in alignment with what you prefer to happen instead. You see how practical this is? I mean, it's not
Yeah.
necessarily easy, but it's absolute common sense.
It's doable.
Hmm.
100%. I love that. So the baby steps we're giving you guys right now to try out, and then we're gonna get into her free gift.
Yeah.
And you guys still, if this is a little sticky, believe me, she's here. She has a ton of information. Please grab her book. We're gonna connect you guys, so don't worry about that. But and you can always replay this. But those baby steps are really first self-awareness, what I'm hearing. Just be self-aware when you're feeling icky, when you're feeling bad off, that's when you know you've got a thought that's not aligned with what it is you're wanting. So then you got to face them. Right? She's saying face it, hear it, and then begin tweaking those thoughts. Just ask yourself simply, do I want this? It's nay, then go ahead and give it a true thought. I can have a better job. I can't. People are making more money. People are healthy. True statements that go along with your desires. And as you do that, you got to make that a habit. This is what you're mostly focused on more than the latter, right? So this is your most focus, and that's it. Like that's a secret sauce, would you say?
That's part of it. That's part of it. In my practical law of attraction, I talk about 8 manifesting conditions, and that's a little bit of a couple of them. That's definitely knowing what you want, your desire. Your thought is condition number 2. We kind of got a little bit into the beliefs, but there's a few more manifesting conditions, but that ultimately that's going to break you into whole new territory, and that's going to help you to begin the alignment process for sure.
Perfect. That right there is such powerful information, you guys. It's really not rocket science. You don't need to know how electricity works to benefit from the light switch. You've
Mhm.
got the core foundations right here, you guys, and there's this beautiful gift. She's going to actually take your mind to a whole new level with this gift.
Yes.
We can go on for days. We don't have the time to, though, so I'm going to cut this off here. This was so beautiful. Um, you guys, yes, please email if you had transformations, if what awakenings you had, if you want to tell us anything, reply to this email, and I'll make sure that Victoria gets it as well. Can you dive a little bit into your free gift just so they know what they're getting?
Absolutely, absolutely. So before I even came out with my new book, Practical Law of Attraction, I created this book, and it's a wonderful book. And I mean, it's been read by like tens of thousands of people around the globe, and it's changing people's lives. And it's absolutely a free gift for you. It's $27 value. It's a free gift. It's a 47-page ebook that explains a few things here. It explains the process of meditation. So, the book is called Meditation Magnetism, and it is designed to help you to have that. You've all met those people that are just really magnetic. They just tend to create on autopilot and magnetize their reality, and that's what this book is all about, is helping you through the process of meditation, law of attraction, and hypnosis to turn up your own magnetic power. And so it's like I said, it's called meditation magnetism, and it does play on, that energy frequency that we talked about. It is in that realm, and it's practical, but it also gets into that the vibration and all of that. So it's going to teach you law of attraction, meditation, hypnosis, and a little bit about binaural beats. So you're going to learn about the brain as well. And so,
Oh,
yeah, my free
this is
gift to you,
great.
help you
Mhm.
learn how to manifest your dreams and desires.
That's happiness, baby. That's happiness. I love it. This is where to start, you guys. Thank you so much, Victoria, for your time, your wisdom that you just shared with all of us for free, you guys. So thank you again for being here. I feel very honored. I know our viewers are loving you. Thank you, Victoria.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. And thank you, listeners, for being here and manifest a happy, happy life.
Woohoo! All right, you guys, if you love this vital ingredient, this powerhouse information, you're going to love the next show as well for our wonderful soup of happiness. Stay tuned, you guys, and keep smiling. Bye bye.